that may have been in the plans before. There's just the small developments like the pickleball. It doesn't seem to make sense to us at this point, the cost of doing that. So that's an issue we'd like to, figure out what makes sense there.
I agree with you, Dale. It is a big expense, but that's why we've kind of let this thing go and go and go. We didn't bother with it, with a lot of the smaller places that have gone in. Popeyes and Dairy Queen, they got their own exit over there, so we never
Right.
brought any of that up. But now we're getting on the interior, and hopefully you do sell some of these places in there. But at what point? I mean, does it have to be right now? I don't know. It depends on
Yeah.
everybody's feelings, but I
think so.
think we need to just get a resolution. When can we do this? At what point? Because if I'm recalling it, in the resolution with the town board, any further development on that property deemed it necessary to put this connection in. So we've let it go. So at what point can we do it, though? I think that's the crux of this whole thing.
Okay. I don't have an answer for that.
All right. Okay, so I think this is a great project and everything. It's got, it's good going in there. But again, I think we have to get this thing resolved. If it's not right now, is it next year? When can we, I think you got to get an answer to that before this gets an approval. When can we come up with a timeline to complete that roadway?
Okay. I believe that,
Okay?
you received a letter from the senior home developer there that they really do not want,
Yeah, that isn't their call.
yeah,
That's why the road was put there with a dead end. So it could continue. It goes right down to the fence. That's why it was put there, so the road can connect onto your property. That was the intent of it. When Betty Mullen DeProsa was the CEO of St. Anne's at the time, she was well aware of what the timing was on that. Well, now that's, 20-some years ago?
Yeah.
Things changed, but the thing has still got to be done. The idea was to eliminate traffic, and that's part of the design of the overall area for the town. I know you can't answer tonight, I'm looking for an answer, but you guys need to get together. That's, I think, what we got to do is get a solution to that.
I think the existing roadway between Lowe's and BJ's has accomplished a lot of that, kept traffic off of Ridge Road.
Yeah, well, I'm the reason that road's there too, by the way, not to go into it, but yeah. That wasn't even gonna be in there. I had another story, never mind.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the, in that resolution from the town, or from the town to Lowe's, when it said the developer may be required to build it. So is what you're saying is you guys want the road?
To connect through?
Yeah.
That was the intent of it, yeah.
Okay.
That's why we put the burden onto St. Anne's. They could have ended, like Josh was saying today, they could have ended their driveway, that road coming in at their parking lot, but no, it had to be extended all the way back.
Mhm.
So people knew this is going someplace.
Right.
Like a subdivision,
Yeah, sure.
you stub it.
Stub it up. Yeah.
And people say, well, my kid's got his basketball there. That's nice, but that road is intended to continue through. That's why it's there.
So like I said, something for the Hagedorns to further with the town.
Now, I don't know what the board feels on it. I mean, they may say, let it wait another year, whatever. I don't know. But we've got to get some kind of a solution to it.
Tony, could I ask, extend it up to where, just as a clarification, like how far was the intention to extend it in the Bass resolution? Was it supposed to go up to that road that connects between BJ's and Lowe's, or even
I have a
farther
map
up
if you
to
want it.
Frontage Road?
Well, it comes from St. Anne's,
Uh-huh.
next to by Lowe's there.
Yep,
And then it crosses going north,
yep,
and it meanders a little bit of an angle, and then
Mhm.
over and to the expressway feeder.
okay.
And
So
there's-
Frontage Road, up to
You
Frontage
know how
Road.
Barrett Drive is by the post
Yep,
office?
yep,
Basically one of those.
gotcha, okay, okay.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. No, I'm good. You can show it to him if you want.
So there's Lowe's.
Mhm.
This is the end of that stuff road right now. So it would come up through here, go through BJ's, and I'm assuming it's a traffic circle.
Mhm.
But right now.
So is this the
right now-
intention to eventually do it this way?
I think that's
or-
what the intention was when the town did that.
Right now, the road design isn't too important. It's
Right.
just a timeline for that curb cut, you know, for the,
Then it comes up through the
Mhm.
waterfront.
Gotcha, okay.
so you wanna see what you can do with that, Dale? Come up with something, talk to the whoever's there. Okay?
Good.
Board members, anything, actually, here is for a sketch review. You see the building. Anybody have any concerns or interests or comments?
I just had some questions. So with Lowe's' trucking access being right there butting to your property,
Yes.
is that road remaining?
Yes.
Same thing with the concrete area? in
That
the back?
actually is a,
Is there an easement there?
there is an easement, that's a truck turnaround
Mhm.
for the entire development,
Okay,
not just for Lowe's. Lowe's kind of is capitalized on it, but it is actually for the entire development for a truck turnaround.
okay. Yeah, I know sometimes they gate it off in the back where their storage is. The sketch plan, at least going off of it, substantial parking across the street. Is there any way to maybe push the building a little bit more south and do ADA parking in the front? Like you say, if you have any elderly or need to get closer to the building, they would
I
at
don't
least
see a
have
problem with that.
frontage
I think there's
parking.
20 feet right now. Yeah, we can, certainly, we can find a spot for them, yeah.
Right.
It's a good idea.
Is that road there, is that town road, between Lowe's and BJ's? Is that owned by the town, that road, or
It's private.
it's
It's not
private?
dedicated?
Okay. Maybe something to consider, somehow to slow down a little bit traffic there, because you're gonna have contractors coming through there. If you have kids or others coming who are crossing the road to get into the building, is there maybe speed bump or something we could,
Good,
to
sure.
slow it down a little bit?
Yeah, why not?
Or designate a crossing as part of the concept layout?
Yeah,
Where are
speed
you
bump's not a bad
referring to?
idea. They put that, I think they put that little turn in the road there right up to
There's
Lowe's
nothing
just to do
going there.
that.
That's not even in the plan.
So,
All we're interested in is the building and a timeline for the curb cut.
so right now, they're
The interior design of the
showing,
road is not here tonight.
Tony, they're showing the building, and then across the street there, they're showing the parking.
Correct.
It's just a way for either
Mhm.
ADA parking in front of the building or a designated walk area to go
Mhm.
from the parking to the building.
Mhm.
Look at those raised concrete sidewalks that they have at Lowe's,
Mhm.
or sidewalk and speed bump.
What's that, Derek? I didn't hear.
You know, at Lowe's it has a raised.
Like a speed bump,
the
concrete
four-way-
speed
yeah,
bump,
the
just
speed
to,
bump.
a designated walk area that is raised and clearly defined so that it forces somebody to slow down when they're going by there.
Mhm.
There's four-way stops there too. There's
Yeah.
stop signs.
So for sketch plan, what do you guys think of the design of the building, okay?
Looks good.
Yeah, I like it.
The use is good.
Okay, you're off to a good start with it. How many, what is it, 39,000 square feet?
39, yep.
All right, I like the idea of what you're showing for the base around 4 foot up.
Yep.
That adds to it a whole lot.
It's gonna be a pretty building.
What's that?
It's gonna be a nice looking building.
Yeah, no, it looks good. All right, anybody, any questions or concerns?
No.
Dave, anyone? You're just for sketch plans, so you just gotta deal with DEC and all that now, right?
Yeah, it's already in the works.
All right, so, okay, you're on the road with it.
Appreciate it.
So if you guys can come up with, have somebody come up and make a decision and a timeline, yeah, we can agree to. I think that's gonna be the key. Okay? Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming in.
Next item on tonight's agenda, McAlpin Industries located at 875 Publishers Parkway. Applicant McAlpin Industries is requesting preliminary final site plan approval along with a public hearing associated with the construction of Phase 1, which is 100,000 square feet of a total of 300,000 square feet of a light manufacturing warehouse on a 25.65 acre lot located in a high-intensity commercial district under Section 26911 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Good evening.
Gentlemen,
Mike Ritchie from Costage Engineering. With me is Matt McAlpin from McAlpin Industries. Thank you for allowing us to come in front of your board. We were last in front of you a few months ago, where we presented the project. Matt presented the overview of his company and what they do. Since then, I think that the biggest issues were the coordinated review for seeker and the wetland review. We did receive some additional PRC comments from town staff, and we've subsequently revised the plans and resubmitted to address those comments. We did receive the no impact letter from the DEC relative to the wetlands, so we received that last week, and we were happy to pass that along to Josh. You know, we did also hear from the previous time, Mr. Kashani, that we were in front of you, that you were looking kind of for some more architectural detail on that building. We did submit some additional architectural
Is this
renderings.
what you changed it to?
I'm not sure
The
which.
one you just gave me?
Most of those are in the submission. There's a couple additional ones in there just to reemphasize.
You sure this is the same building?
A lot more updates to it, and again, this
think
is,
so.
Barn, right?
it's a,
That's impressive.
it's a phased project. Phase one, I think I heard 100,000, but was applied for 120,000 square foot for the first phase, 300,000 square foot overall. So that first phase being on the south side of the project, and subsequent additions would be to the north. We also did make some revisions to the utilities. We did add a second stormwater management pond on the north side of the site to get some additional earth, also to prevent kind of some low spots on that north area, and hopefully allow any future development on that very north end on Publishers to be able to utilize that for stormwater management as well. So we've addressed all the comments from PRC, from the agencies, Water Authority, Health Department, and the like. And with this board's approval, we'd look to move forward with site work on this in probably the next month or two. So their team's ready to go, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that this board may have.
Okay, you submitted, I think, was it April 15th? I think it was April 15th. You had some comments, you addressed all
Yep.
the comments then you had the latest edition of them?
Yep, and we revised
got that now.
and resubmitted those back as well.
Yep, you've
They
got
were,
that
they
now.
were technical in nature, no, major showstoppers or anything. And again, if there's any conditions this board has, any other comments going forward, we'd be happy
These are,
to incorporate those.
this is all primarily 99% all engineering detail.
Yeah, and I think most of
So-
the engineering's been sorted out to this point.
Yep. And I don't want to get into all that part of it, but the concern we have is the building, what's it going to look like, traffic, things of that nature. You did a traffic study.
We did,
You
yep.
completed that. What else was there? I think, can't even think of anything else. That's probably one of the main things, wasn't it?
Told them about that.
That and widening the entrance so the tractor trailers could turn.
Yeah, the
into-
tractor trailer turning, yeah.
Yep, yeah, we proposed a slight widening of the entrance there. We did also propose a dedicated left-hand turn into the site, which will be part of the first phase.
Okay. We can open it as a public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to speak in regard to this project? Sure. Why don't you Go up to the mic.
Hi, Diana Davis. I might be behind the curve on this one, but it looks like you guys are calling it high-density commercial as the zoning? Yeah, that's what's on your plan. So I'm just wondering if you've, and again, I might be behind the curve, so I don't, again, my fault if I haven't been following the story.
What is it you're specifically?
Yeah, no, my question is, given that it's office park and this is a warehouse facility, it would be one of the uses that the town board would basically have to do a special use permit for.
Which
So
they
I'm just
did, yes.
wondering where we are in that process.
That was taken care of initially with the town board.
Got it,
That was the
okay,
first step of the project.
Yeah.
okay. But it is office park still, right?
It is zoned still,
Okay.
yeah, but that was required town board.
Okay, then, again, I'm just behind the curve. But that's all, I just was wondering, and I just wanted to make sure that if it is office park, that you guys are still adhering to the lot coverage maximums?
We are.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All set? Okay, anyone else wish to speak? Either in favor or opposed? Nobody? All right, board, anybody?
No,
Any comments?
I
We've
have
looked
some.
at this thing a few times.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tony. I got some comments.
Oh, go ahead.
Josh, if you can zoom into the entranceway area. So the vehicle turnaround is showing a fire truck, but you're saying you have WB-50 trucks there? Are you able to provide vehicle turnarounds for WB-50 in that entranceway?
I believe we ran a WB62 on that as well. I don't know if the detail for that shows a 50. I don't know, Matt, did you confirm a WB?
It's just showing a fire truck. It doesn't show standard operation vehicle coming in and out. My concern is just on Hard Road north-south coming into
we
it.
can
Does the
see-
other side have to get widened too? Coming southbound, going into the facility?
I don't believe any proposed trucks are proposed to come from the north side. All the truck traffic would come from 104.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay, anything else, anybody?
So you seem to stop pavement just short of the existing facility there. Any intention potentially to mill and pave all the way to Hard Road after construction?
That wasn't part of our plan, but I can talk with Matt. You know, it shouldn't be a major change to the scope to mill and just make that a nice uniform pavement. Do you have an issue with that? We already have to pave that portion by the entrance.
It's just after construction, you're gonna be doing earthwork, there's
Clean it
gonna
up,
be in and
right,
out
that's-
traffic. You know, if it gets degraded, it'll look nicer if it's just a
Yeah,
continuous.
a nice finished product. We
Yep.
agree, and then, you know, and then we could put topping on everything and redo the striping and make it all uniform.
Okay. I'm not sure if it would be part of your, but I guess this question is related to Josh. You know, should there be a stop sign on that intersection there onto Hard Road, especially now with truck traffic being proposed? Should a stop sign and striped stop be on that intersection?
Sure. Yeah, that's a private road, so it would
Yeah.
not be the town's responsibility
Right.
to do that.
We
but
have no issue with that. We'll
Okay.
do that.
Josh, if you can, can you go to utility plan and go to the front of the building? So if you zoom in to where the water line goes into the building, just want to get a clarification here. You have a combined system going in and then a combined system leaving the building. Is it going to be just hydrant dedicated going out, or
Yes.
is that going to be?
Yeah, it'll be split in the building for domestic fire, sprinkler, and then
Okay.
back out to the,
So that's just a correction that has to be made on the drawings?
yeah, we're coordinating with MEP, just trying to
Okay.
get everything sorted out where all the connections lie, but
Okay.
yeah, that's the intent.
Are you
It'll
able
be
to
separate.
provide a mechanical room drawing of just showing how that transition
I think that'll be
happens?
part of the building permit process, but that will be done, again, we're,
Okay.
meter backflow in an enclosure out at the road
Perfect.
where it separates the public water.
Okay. And I was just surprised not to see profile views of the sanitary or storm lines. Is that something you guys can add?
Absolutely, I think that's, something for construction. Again, there's nothing really out there in terms
Mhm.
of conflicts with other utilities, but we certainly can provide profile view for those.
Okay. And then I think my last question here, with that pond going in now in the back, do you have access going up to it for maintenance?
That was not a comment that was generated, but we certainly have no issue providing an access easement to the town of Webster for both ponds, knowing that they are gonna be private, but in the event that town ever needed to get to them, we have no issue granting easements for those.
I guess, would it be just an easement, or would it be also like a stone gravel road in order to go back there and do the maintenance?
I think the intent is that that parking lot adjacent to it would be built, and that would allow it to provide access, but we can certainly look into that to make sure that if town staff needs to get back there, put a gravel access road to the berm, to the outlet structure, but we can add that into the final plan.
So, Josh, does the town of Webster maintain the pond?
No, we
Okay.
would require a stormwater maintenance agreement. It would
Mhm.
be the responsibility of the owner.
It would still be a good idea to add something there in case they need to hire a contractor to hog out the pond, so it doesn't, destroy landscaping, so we can put that in the plans for
Yeah,
signatures.
so I would recommend putting in a access road to it for maintenance, and then the volume of that pond, just want to make sure that you're not at a U.S. Army Corps dam level?
we're
You're
not.
below it?
We're below the height for a dam.
Okay.
yes.
All right. And then the spillway that you have there, the discharge to it, you have indicating where it's going and
Yep.
just want to make sure that that's not impacting the neighboring.
We did have to look at that because, you know, everything kind of drains north up through Publishers. So we have a spillway and then a swale and then a dedicated secondary storm line to get that all to the north. So it doesn't pond back in there.
That's all the questions I have.
Good.
Yeah, there are some engineering things in there that we could get built in
Well,
for
a
engineering
lot
to
of, yeah, a
review.
lot of the stuff, actually, that's all engineering detail. That's why we have town engineers to look at that also. They have reviewed a lot of this already, so, like drainage and a lot of hours went into that already. Anybody else, any questions or concerns?
No.
Nothing? All right, then we'll close the public hearing, bring it back. Any? John? Anything?
Nothing.
Barry, you good? All right, at the last meeting, what did we do? We actually, we made a motion, I believe, that we take lead agency if nobody was interested. It went out for 30 days, nobody took, nobody wanted it, that's for sure. So it came back, 30 days are up, so we need to make a motion to take lead agency for the secret process. You can combine, can we combine that, Derek? Do that right along with the
We've-
resolution?
We've typically done in the past.
Okay, go
where-
ahead. You want to do it? Go ahead.
Unless there's any other comments,
I'm sorry?
any other,
No, I closed it and we're good.
so previously we determined this is a type 1 action, so there's a motion for type 1 action. Town of Webster Planning Board considered a request by applicant McAlpin Industries to construct a 300,000 square foot light manufacturing warehouse on a 25.65 acre parcel having SPL number 079.06-1-32.123 located at 875 Publishers Parkway. The planning board determined that the proposed action is a type 1 action under Part 617 of the State Environmental Quality Review. The planning board determined that the action is subject to single agency review pursuant to Part 617.6B1 of SEQR, and that it is the most appropriate agency for making the determination of significance. The planning board therefore designates itself lead agency for the proposed action. The planning board has given consideration to the criteria for determining significance as set forth in section 617.7C1 of SEQR, and has 1, considered the information contained in the environmental assessment form, part 1, dated January 29th, 2025. Consider public comments directed at the planning board during the public hearing on May 6th, 2025, and 3, completed parts 2 and 3 of the environmental assessment form. Now therefore be resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board hereby determines that the proposed action will not have a significant adverse effect on the environment for the reasons set forth in the attached notice of determination of non-significance. Be it further resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board is authorized to take all actions reasonable and necessary to file a negative declaration and discharge the Town of Webster Planning Board's responsibility as lead agency for this action. Be it further resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board, based on the information and the analysis above, the reference supporting documentation, and discussions of the actions with the Town of Webster Planning Board as documented by the minutes for this meeting, that the proposed action will not result in a significant environmental impacts. Be it further resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board therefore makes determination of non-significance. Be it further resolved that the Town of Webster Planning Board, based on the above reasons, issues a negative declaration as evidence of its termination.
Okay, we have a motion for the McAlpin project. We need a second.
Second.
Why don't you call the
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Giardina?
Aye.
Mr. Malta?
Aye.
Mr. Kashani?
roll? Aye.
Mr. Kosel?
Aye.
Mr. Gaskin?
Aye.
Mrs. Long?
Aye.
Okay, we can move forward with a preliminary approval on it. I like the way you changed the building. That was probably my biggest hangup from day one was, you know, the appearance of it. we should do though, is to actually have this incorporated into a final drawing sheet all at one. I'm okay with moving forward with preliminary. I think we still need to just fine tune some of the miscellaneous things. Engineering's okay with your answers, so to speak. And if it's okay with the board, I don't wanna drag you out for another month. If you can get this stuff in soon enough, it meets the requirements for Josh, I'd be willing to say, that and I think the board would agree to have another meeting in a couple of weeks with the final drawings in front of us, with everything on it.
Yeah, we can do that.
Would
We
that
did-
work okay with you guys?
We did submit the updated elevations as part of the
Yep.
most recent package.
That way, these are not just a sheet, they're incorporated right into the drawings,
Right, we can certainly make that, or, yeah.
okay?
I guess 2 weeks, I don't think will kill us.
You can
so-
get the stuff in, I mean, you got it all done.
Yeah, I think we already submitted most of those renderings
If you-
when we
yep.
submitted revised plans.
But in lieu of a separate rendering, if you can just put it all in, right in one of the sheets, right in your drawings, like, you know.
Yep.
I think that would,
Yeah.
that work okay?
A few more slides on there, I don't know.
Yeah, we can certainly make those incorporated into the final approval plan set, if that's what you're looking for prior to this board being able to issue final
Before
approval.
final approval, okay.
Or if you wanted to condition it, we could make it so that those are part of the record submitted in the final plans.
A lot of what you have in front of you right now was part of the submission. We just had a couple updates that I wanted to make sure you saw. I don't
I'll
know if
leave
it's
that
on
up
that
with
file.
that.
There's
I don't know.
towards the bottom of the file.
Yeah, I think,
No,
yeah.
you'd rather have them in
I mean,
Yeah,
Tony,
elevations
there's just some
That's
good
the
amount of engineering items that would be nice to be incorporated as a final set, so when the board votes on it as a final, we're good to go.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's do that. Let's do a preliminary, if that's okay, and then in 2 weeks, we can have the final, and you got everything incorporated into it?
Yeah, we can turn everything back around.
All right,
to
let's do
Josh
that
tomorrow.
then. Dave, you wanna?
Yeah,
wanna a
I'll
motion?
make a motion for preliminary site plan approval for McAlpin Industries located 875 Publishers Parkway, subject to all PRC comments, subject to a letter of credit posted with the town of Webster, subject to Monroe County Water Authority comments, subject to the determination of the ZBA for requested variances. All improvements shall be constructed according to the specification of the town of Webster. All roadway construction will be in accordance with the specification and regulations set forth by the town of Webster. Site work is to be in compliance with the standards of the town of Webster. Comply with all requirements of any state, county, or town agency. Address drainage, lighting, signage, landscaping, buffering, berming, and snow storage. Do we want landscape and hardscape finished grading design for the development prepared by a New York State licensed architect? The final landscape plan shall bear the seal and signature of the landscape architect. Approvals are subject to drawing number, it's project 9649. And that's a motion.
Okay, I think you wanted, what did you want? You had, the stop sign, you wanted to see there also.
Yeah, the truck being used for the access movement, just to make sure that that intersection works with a 18-wheeler. A stop sign there, just
Yep.
for safety to stop onto hard road.
Okay. Okay,
And
you
then
got that
the
incorporated into it.
road going up to the pond.
Then you'd also noted profiles for the sewers. And
Profiles, yeah, but that should be engineering's call, so.
Yeah. All right, we have a motion, need a second.
Second.
You have a second? You wanna call it
Mr. Malton?
Aye.
Mr. Giardina?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Kosel?
Aye.
Mr. Gaskin?
Aye.
Mrs. Maltman?
Aye.
Mr. Kashani?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so then let's hold, and then, Is it okay with all you folks?
Yep,
that we do that in a couple of weeks?
yep.
They get their stuff in, that way we got a complete set of drawings. They're ready to give to engineering and everything is all in good shape, okay?
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
thanks a lot, fellas. Nice job with the building, too. Very impressive.
Next item on the agenda is Sierra Trading Post located at 900 Holt Road. The applicant, Kim Gorigan of Wegmans Food Market Incorporated, is requesting sketch plan review associated with enclosing a portion of the former Chase Pitkin outdoor space to create a new tenant space on a 28.7 acre lot located in an HEC, High Intensity Commercial District, under Section 269-5 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Evan Gaffeld from Costage Engineering, and I have Kim Gorigan, sorry,
Sorry
from
about that.
Wegmans. So for sketch plan review, the proposed project is enclosing that existing outdoor display area that was once part of Chase Pickens. The project, the building would enclose 19,000 square feet of that for retail for Sierra Trading Post. The rest of the canopy would remain in the rear of the property. We would be incorporating a trash compactor and a recessed loading dock. And the utilities, we're utilizing the Hobby Lobby wall currently and the southern wall for the outdoor display area, so it fits within that footprint of the outdoor display area. The utilities are private. Most of them have been stubbed during the development of the plaza. I know PRC had comments about the truck access that we had coming off of Rachel. We are in the works of coming down from either the north end, through the Wegmans property. I can't point anywhere. Yeah, right behind the plaza, making a turn within the back of the building. And there's also an option of looking to come off 104 up to Ridge Road and circulate down through Rachel, just to relieve that turn radius at that point. The building elevations were submitted as part of this package. I think it's a nice-looking, modern facade with their branding.
What will they have to do with the interior of that? Will they have to tear that floor out?
So
Tear all your mechanicals?
the concept now is, because it's all concrete currently,
Yeah.
they're gonna level it. Obviously, there were floor drains, you probably could see it in there. So it was all pitched to the center, so the high points are on the perimeter, and it's gonna be leveled for that portion. And then we will be rerouting the trench drain to the rear. There's a storm drain back there. We've already looked at the drainage patterns from when this was developed and the volumes. The only utility running through there would be sanitary out the front. We'd have to cut through the floor.
Okay. Yeah, sure. He's showing me a picture of another Sierra.
Yeah.
Kind of looks a little different.
They used to have an orange facade. Is that what you're referencing?
Yeah, it
Right.
has,
They've now switched to more the white cream color facade.
it's got an orange sign on it, it's got stone going up the sides. Kind of, what's the plaza there? All Wegmans is all brick anyways, right?
Wegmans has the brick, correct, yeah.
So this, you've got the lower part. What is that, what's the white part on this?
I Yeah, I don't have the details from the architect, since we're at, conceptual level of what it is. But they've been using, with construction these days, kind of a fascia board or hardy board or something of that nature.
I think it's fine. If there's a way of just dressing that up, there's a lot of white there I'm looking at, Whereas the plaza itself is pretty broken up and designed nice and features and so on. If you can do something just to dress that up a little bit by the entrance area,
Okay, we'll bring that back to the architect.
okay?
Yeah.
I think that would be good. Okay, anything else, anybody?
What's the color of the sign again?
Well, it's like an orangish color they have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's,
It looks like this. I would think they would.
It's almost like a
Mm-hmm.
burnt
yeah, pretty
orange.
much the same.
Okay.
Anybody, any concerns for this project? We good with it?
Seems like a good
Dave?
fit for the location.
What's
Yeah,
that?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, absolutely.
It's an eyesore now, so.
Utilizing a
About time
dead
bringing
space in there, it's
something in
been there
there.
forever, yeah.
If I could ask, in the back, so, the Sierra portion looks like it's gonna be redone, but there's a portion still in the back that is the former Chase Pitkin. What's gonna happen with that portion of the building?
That portion of the building's gonna remain, the canopy. It's structural for that roof, with the
Yeah.
back wall. And there's some egress doors from the Hobby Lobby to that area.
Okay.
There's actually only a couple of comments, general comments. Tractor trailers are required to stay in the appropriate lanes when making the turn from Rachel Drive into the plaza. You were aware of that anyways.
Yep,
And the others, all the utilities are gonna be private, which is on your private property, so.
correct.
Only concerns, okay, I have no issues. Anybody, any concerns with it?
No.
You guys are all right with it?
Just put some consideration for snow storage. It's a very tight area, and that's a berm there, so I'm not sure where you're gonna store the snow over time.
So, yeah, with Wegmans Plazas, they hire a contractor and
Mhm.
it's, you see the big mounds out
Yep.
front, so it will be removed out of there and
Okay.
put out to where no one utilizes the parking.
That's all I got.
Okay. Yeah, I guess with that, you're all set. Just see
Okay,
you next time you're in.
Bring it
all
in.
right, thank you.
Take care. Have a good one. Thanks for coming in.
Last item on tonight's agenda, Lockwood Electric, located at 633 Basket Road. The applicant is Lon Lockwood, who is requesting sketch plan review associated with the construction of an 8,822 square foot multi-tenant post-frame style building on a 1.48 acre lot located in an industrial district under section 269-5 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Ian Cookman. I'm with McMahon LaRue. I'm here with Lon Lockwood, owner of Lockwood Industries Electric. We're here for sketch plan application for the new office location and operations facility for Lockwood Electric, in addition to leasable space for a tenant to be determined, garage space, and then dog daycare as well. The site is a former homestead, farming, agricultural, residential site. It's now zoned industrial. We were before the town board last week for application of industrial use permit and referral to the planning board here tonight. Lon Lockwood is proposing to build a post-frame style, kind of pole barn style structure for their operations, which I believe we've submitted architecturals as part of our application by GLA Architects. The site has been mostly demolished from its original homestead application. What remains is a couple of accessory structures, one of which is going to be incorporated as part of this build-out for the dog daycare, and the substantial post-frame pole barn addition is going to be mostly for Lockwood Electric. And the parking space is going to be substantially increased for Lockwood Electric fleet of vans and work vehicles, in addition to employee parking. Lockwood Electric is currently operating out of 520 Salt Road, so a longtime Webster resident and looking to stay in the community. The application process is long for us. Like I said, we were before the town board last week, we're before the planning board today for sketch plan application. We're next to the zoning board of appeals for variance to the buffer requirements. And then we'll be back here a couple more times for preliminary and final application, and then finally back home to the town board for the issuance of industrial permit, along with the special permit application for the dog daycare. With that said, the goal is to minimize total disturbance on the site to under an acre, so it's a small scale construction operation that will yield substantial dividends to the community in the success of the business. I wanted to see what comments the board had. I think we've jumped the gun a little bit. We've prepared and submitted pretty substantial site plans with a substantial amount of design incorporated, a lot more than what you would typically see on a sketch plan application. But we do want to take the board's considerations as we move over to the zoning board and the remainder of the planning board application process. So at this moment, I'll open it up for any questions.
Are there any, no variances required?
There is a variance required.
Have you got it yet, or you have to?
Not yet, that'll be the
You have
next
to get it,
process
okay.
for us.
What would that be for? I'm sorry.
So for industrial zone parcels have an industrial setback requirement, a buffer requirement, which is a little bit more than what we're asking for, and it includes not only the building, but also the parking area, so the edge of pavement is slightly infringed on that buffer requirement. So we'll be seeking a modest amount of relief from that. And I think the intent of that requirement is most industrial sites in Webster are large parks, you know, like Xerox Park, where you're looking for a little bit more buffer between those larger parcels. This is a much smaller parcel, this is less than an acre and a half. So I think it would be realistic to ask for that relief from the board.
Okay. Now, your drainage is, it looks like a, is that a pond up in the back there? Yeah, right there.
Yeah, so the challenge with this site
Oh,
is
yeah.
that we're tying into an existing structure, so our finished floor elevation is pretty well established. It's a relatively flat site as is, so we don't have a lot of options stormwater-wise. So we're trying to sheet flow everything into that relatively flat swale. It's gonna have a perforated underdrain. It's gonna drain into our, into the storm sewer out on Basket Road.
Okay, yep. Now you have your, what's that, you have a dumpster enclosure going, that'll be near the front?
Yeah, we chose the front within that dog fenced-in area
Yeah,
to avoid the westerly winds blowing odor into the operations of Lockwood Electric.
a little premature, but just when you get to that point, don't just throw cement block up, make it look decent, you know?
I live directly across the street,
That's probably a good reason to do it, right?
and I'm gonna make sure it's a nice place, for sure.
Sounds good. That's the concern, because, you know, you're the neighbor, so, yeah. All right,
Yes,
anybody,
and
any questions or concerns on this? It's,
So you mentioned there used to be agricultural use, and I noticed this is near the Bolter Industrial. One thing to double check, I didn't see it on the seeker form, but just double check in general, is that there are county ag districts in this area that they haven't been used for a long time, but the ag districts have never been dissolved. So just verify that the parcel itself is not subject to ag district requirements.
I'll double check that, thank you.
And I'm not able to hear anything, so.
You gotta double check that it's not an ag district.
Yeah, there's even a couple industrial parks we have that are right in the middle of an ag district that had never been dissolved.
Yeah, with that said, I mean, we're on the industrial side of Basket Road, so everything around us, we got waste management right next door to us. Across the street, we do have residents, so we are substantiating a buffer. in
But
front of
that's
us.
why I mentioned, because it's deceptive.
Yeah,
The ag
for sure.
districts
We'll
are,
look into
is,
the database
it
on
was
that.
put in place 30 years ago. And then as development came in certain areas and hadn't been used for agriculture for years and years, but the district still exists, so you're subject to those requirements.
Josh, are you aware of?
I don't
the
believe,
existence of that?
I don't believe this property is within an ag district, but we can help double check that.
Okay, thank you.
And with this property being on Basket Road, we were required to refer it to Monroe County, and I know that that's also something that they take a look at as well. So once we can confirm that for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that's something we can check out anyways, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
when you come back preliminary, you can have an answer to it.
First things first, get our variances, right?
Yep, that's right.
Ian, I just had one more thing. You
Yeah.
indicated a fence in the RG&E RTC easement, utility easement. Just want to make sure that that is allowed within that easement, the fence that you guys are proposing.
Okay.
And then, I guess just out of curiosity, interior architectural plan showed storage. I'm assuming we're not dealing with like transformer storage, any kind of chemicals inside, because it's right next to abutting to the dog area. Does it need to have a fireproof wall between the two components of use, I guess?
So I'm sorry, I've got hearing aids. I have a bit of a hard time hearing you. But you're concerned about the storage?
Yeah, I'm assuming you're not storing transformers or any kind of chemicals inside that,
No,
if,
no.
you know, fire concern, just between the dog use and then your storage use in case anything
Correct.
happens.
No, the storage use is going to be for H&L Incorporated that's owning this, a place to store the stuff to maintain the property.
Okay.
And that kind of stuff. Nothing industrial or anything like that.
Okay.
Nothing more than you would find in your garage.
The overall site, once you're completed, there's no outdoor storage, right?
I'm sorry?
No outdoor storage?
No.
Okay.
No, everything should be inside. The only thing outside would be a parking lot.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Okay.
And so the draft seeker, it does indicate on here that there are wetlands or other regulated water bodies on the parcel. So you're aware you have to start that whole process with the new wetlands regulations as soon as possible.
Let's hope not. Did you ask him for an answer? Okay.
Derek, you're saying there are wetlands on there?
Yeah, according to the seeker form, it identifies that there's wetlands or other regulated areas, and, you know, because of that, I would say that they gotta start down that path of the jurisdictional determination under the new New York State wetland regulations. Start that now so you don't get hung up on it later on.
Okay, yep.
Okay, you can check into that, I guess. You're set.
Sounds good. Thank you for your
Okay,
time.
good luck.
All right.
You know what, before you go, Josh, if they're going to the zoning board, do you feel there's any issues with it, or it should be pretty?
No, I think the variances that are being requested are not really substantial
So
and
you
not
don't
of
need a letter
concern.
recommending?
What's that?
I was thinking if it was questionable, you know,
I mean, the board could provide a letter of support if they're favorable to the
up to you-
design.
Up to you fellas, what,
Sure.
you wanna send them a letter to the zoning board that might expedite it a little bit if a letter of recommendation from this board to the zoning board? You okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, then we'll do that. We'll send a letter to the zoning board.
Yeah, everything
recommending
helps, I
your-
appreciate
Your
that.
variances,
Yes,
that
thank
might
you.
shorten it up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll see you, good luck. All right, that's it, isn't it?
That's it.
Can I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for April 1st, 2025?
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're good, Dennis, we're good. That's the only one, right?
That's it.
Okay, with that, I guess we're all set for this evening, so thanks for coming in.
No, there's,
Oh, there is another side? Oh, we can do this, right?
It's not written anywhere, but
Or March 4th?